When was the last time you heard of a new startup building new gasoline-powered pickup trucks? I can't think of any. And that's why this EV revolution is so interesting and exciting, because there's a whole new slew of companies that are building what they believe is their vision for the future of the electric pickup truck. Ever since the Tesla Cybertruck unveiled, the world has lost its mind when it comes to electric pickup trucks. And companies like GMC are reviving nameplates like the Hummer and making them electric. Plus, there's even been tons of companies building electric pickup trucks before the Cybertruck was announced. So we're going to break all that down today, talk about the numbers and the specs and what we think about all this stuff, how far along these companies are, and why the future of electric pickup trucks is looking really promising. But as always, before we begin, thank you so much for watching. If you are new, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss our future videos. We have a lot of cool stuff planned. We are a channel dedicated to the future of technology, energy, and transportation. I'm Ricky, and this is Too Bit Da Vinci. So we're going to save the Cybertruck for the very end and start instead with the company that I think most people have been talking about for the longest period of time, and that is Rivian. Rivian has their R1T pickup truck, and this thing is really close to being ready to ship. Rivian has their headquarters in Plymouth, Michigan, and that's where most of their finances and engineering design happens. But they've been really smart with allocating offices in really key areas because they also have a facility in Irvine, California. And that's where a lot of the electrical hardware and the battery tech and cooling happens. And they even have a facility in San Jose, California, deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, where all their self-driving tech and autonomous features and data management is happening. So the company has really deep pockets, and they've gotten some really high-end investors. They've gotten $500 million from Ford and about $700 million from Amazon. So this is not a small startup that's kind of in the weeds. This is a really premier startup. And the chances of the R1T shipping are super high. This isn't going to be a vaporware product. In fact, like UPS and other parcel delivery services are really interested in licensing Rivian's tech for some of their own self-driving or EV delivery trucks. What's cool about what Rivian has done is they've built a kind of a modular skateboard which is shared between their pickup truck and their SUV. And again, a brilliant move. You can share componentry and share the engineering non-recurring cost and build two cars that are going to be really popular. Range comes in between 230 to 400 miles based on the battery pack size, and the battery packs go from 105 kilowatt hours to 135 to 180 kilowatt hours. So they have concrete numbers and details, which is a really good thing, because some of the trucks we're going to talk about, it's more like you'll get this much range, but there's no data about the battery pack size. So Rivian's done all their work here, and they even offer a quad motor design. That means each and every wheel would have its own motor, and they've shown off some of the kind of tank moves they can do with their torque vectoring, and the fact that the wheels can spin independently. They can almost do a complete circle in place. It's a pretty cool party trick. The dimensions come in around 79.3 inches in width and about 217 inches in length. Pretty standard mid-sized pickup truck territory. And they'll be shipping hopefully in the second half of 2020. The max towing numbers come in around 11,000 pounds. And this entire 4-battery quad motor configuration has a top end spec of 750 horsepower. 0 to 60 comes in 3 seconds. And there's tons of storage. Forget the probably 6.5 foot bed. You're not going to get the full 8 foot bed on this truck. But they have a cavernous front trunk. The front trunk is one of the biggest I've ever seen. I think I could comfortably sleep in it. And if that wasn't enough, they even have a gear tunnel, which is a little passageway. Doors are open between the bed and the cabin, where you can put skis and other valuables and keep them completely sealed. And that runs the entire width of the truck. Again, this is a really exciting one, and if you're not really all that keen on waiting or vaporware and you want to get a truck or an SUV, Rivian is probably going to be pretty close to the top of your list. Their trucks are beautiful, and expect deliveries here probably in 6 to 8 months or so. So now let's talk about the electric truck you've probably never heard of that has beat everybody else to market. So Nissan has done this really quietly with a partnership with a Chinese company called Dongfeng. And their resulting partnership has yielded the Rich 6 EV pickup truck. This is a for China market pickup truck. Didn't know pickups were that popular in China, but apparently they are. And this is a really economy focused pickup. It has a range of about 175 miles and a top speed of 68 miles per hour. I don't think that would be very popular here in the US, but that's the top speed for China. And the coolest part about this truck is the starting price is around $19,000 US. Again, we're not going to get this truck here in the US, but that's amazing. They're making this thing really economically and on the cheap. Horsepower is around 160 horsepower or so. So think like old 90s Ford Ranger or Toyota Tacoma, kind of a really lightweight utility pickup truck. So the battery pack is 68 kilowatt hours, and that explains why the range is closer to 200 miles for a pickup truck, which is pretty good. And what's really amazing is that they got a battery pack that size in a truck at that price point. Up next is a pickup truck that I have been eyeing for a while. I really like this one, and that is the Bollinger Motors Bollinger B2. They also, again, like Rivian, have an SUV called the B1. And for any of you Mercedes G-Wagon fans or the kind of old Hummer H1 Alpha type vehicles, you're going to like this one because it has a really military, basic, minimalistic design that I personally think looks really great. The company's based in Michigan, and they've actually been developing this truck for 4 years. So this is long before the Cybertruck. And the B2 has a towing capacity of 7,500 pounds and a payload of 5,000 pounds. Pretty respectable numbers for a pickup truck. The B2 will come with 2 electric motors, one on each axle for 4-wheel drive, and it'll put out about 614 horsepower. And 0 to 60 comes in at about 4.5 seconds. The B2 features a 120 kilowatt-hour battery pack with a 200-mile range. What makes the B2 really special, I think, is it's built in a way that the modules of the exterior can be removed. So for example, the roof is 4 pieces that can actually be removed, leaving you with kind of a frame, a very open air frame feel. And the doors can be removed. So the B2 will be built to order, and I think deliveries can be expected in the second half of 2020. What's interesting about this truck is that it is definitely a premium truck. It comes in at $125,000. So really, it's closer to the Mercedes G-Wagon than anything else. The B2 has a 5-foot bed, which might sound kind of small. It's a 4-door crew cab that seats 4 people. But what's really cool about this truck is you can actually put cargo from bumper to bumper. The front tailgate or the front gate opens up, and there's an actual pass-through through the cabin that you can put, 16-foot pieces of lumber, and you can have it span the entire length of the truck. So it's a really capable truck, really versatile. And even though it only has a 5-foot bed, I think you're going to be pretty impressed with just how much work it can do. So now let's switch gears and talk about the legacy pickup truck makers. First up, we have Ford with the Ford F-150 EV. Over the last 10 years, Ford has invested in switching from steel to aluminum in their frame and chassis. And as a result, they've lost a lot of weight, which is perfect for making them EVs because that battery pack is going to probably add a good 1,000 pounds of weight. So the Ford F-150 is going to share some components with the Ford Mustang Mach-E, which is Ford's premium and first entry into the EV market. And it's also expected to use the skateboard platform from Rivian. Remember, Ford had that $500 million investment, which was probably a smart move on their part for this reason. The Ford F-150 EV will be built right alongside the gasoline-powered trucks at their Dearborn plant in Michigan. So they're getting the same treatment, and as a result, I'm hoping that they'll mass produce these in pretty high volumes. One of the cool things about going EV, again, is that front trunk area and all that new space. And so what Ford has done is similar. They have a front tailgate or front gate. And what's cool about this front gate is that it opens down like a tailgate, like you would expect, but it also swings out of the way, making it really easy for you to be able to get right up to and have access to that compartment. The press event that you're probably familiar with, you're thinking about with the Ford EV, is they pulled 1 million pounds of train carts on rails. And that's impressive no matter what. But that is an easier thing to do than pulling 1 million pounds, for example, on trailers on wheels on a asphalt road. But I think at this point, everyone knows how powerful electric motors are, and there's really not much doubt that they're going to be very much capable of doing something like that. So you can expect Ford to bring 16 pure electric vehicles to market by 2022, and the Ford F-150 EV will be one of those cars. So the estimated range is looking around 300 miles or so, and because Ford is a full-time truck maker, expect the F-150 EV to potentially come in different sizes and configurations. Maybe you can have the crew cab or the king cab, and you can have the 6-foot bed or the 8-foot bed. So there might be more configurations and options there. And as far as pricing goes, I would expect it to be very similar to Rivian in the $70,000 or so range, more in the premium range. But again, for pickup trucks, that's not unheard of. So up next is a company called Lordstown Motors, and their truck is the Lordstown Endurance. Now, the company gets its name because they acquired the General Motors fully equipped 6.2 million square foot assembly plant in Lordstown, Ohio. Steve Burns, the CEO, was actually the former CEO of Workhorse, which is known for its delivery trucks currently used by UPS. So what's unique about the Lordstown Endurance is that it actually has hub motors, which are built to fit inside the wheels, and as a result, you'll have 4 motors, 1 for each wheel, and a total system output of about 600 horsepower. Max towing comes in around 7,500 pounds, and the price is going to be around $52,500. You can expect a range of around 250 miles and a top speed of 80 miles an hour. A lot of the photos and stuff seem to be kind of concept looking, but on their website, they're claiming to be ready to deliver in the 4th quarter of 2020. So maybe they're further along than I think. All right, next up is the Atlis XT. This is actually interesting because other than the Cybertruck and the Chinese NISSAN partnership, the Atlis XT is the most affordable, coming in around $45,000. It'll have a max towing rate of 17,000 pounds. It'll have a quad motor design. An interesting tidbit from their website, which I thought was worth noting, is they say that they can charge 500 miles of range in 15 minutes. So they've got some really fast DC charging, maybe 350 or 400 kilowatt charging or something, and the cooling to pull all that off. The truck is also quite versatile, coming in 6.5 feet and 8 feet bed configurations. Payload comes in around 5,000 pounds. It has a front trunk and 4 doors and room for 6 passengers. The top speed comes in around 120 miles per hour, and 0 to 60 happens in 5 seconds. The range comes in, based on configuration, at 300, 400, or 500 miles. Now, they don't have the correlated battery pack sizes, and that makes me think they're still in kind of a production and development mode, because like Rivian will tell you, here's the battery pack size and here's how far it'll go. That makes you realize, like, yeah, they've done the wind tunnel testing and they know the range that they're going to get. So the Atlis maybe isn't quite there yet. They do have a 2020 production date, but the information we have on the batteries are really sparse. So keep that in mind. It's a good looking truck, I gotta say. The front kind of has these big vents and things, kind of looks like a Lamborghini or something, kind of like that squished headlight in the front, but it's massive. It has a huge front grille. But overall, I think it's a truck that truck people will like. It's not very controversial, but it has good lines and good proportions and an overall good design. All right, now let's talk about probably the most interesting or surprising truck on this list, and that is the Hummer EV. So first and foremost, Hummer was a brand that was acquired by General Motors, and it ran on its own. It was the Hummer H1, H2, H3, and during the 2009 recession, GM was forced to shut down a lot of their brands, and Hummer was one of the ones that was shut down. So this is a revival of the Hummer name, but it won't be the Hummer brand. Instead, it'll be the Hummer EV that is a GMC. So it'll be the GMC Hummer, basically. You know, as controversial as calling a crossover electric SUV a Mustang is, or a electric GMC pickup truck or SUV a Hummer, I think the naming shows you that these companies are really serious about selling these cars. Selling electric vehicles is really hard unless your name is Tesla. They clearly can sell them in their sleep. But for the other companies, they've had a hard time of it. And so if you call your car the Mustang, what it tells people is this is our most iconic brand and we are really serious about selling this thing as an EV. And I think it's the same thing with GMC. So let's jump into what we do know, because the information is really quite limited. But we know it's going to go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. It's going to have 1,000 horsepower and 11,500 pound-feet of torque. So it's going to be a really extreme vehicle. And the reveal date is going to be May 20th, 2020. GMC, if you're watching this, please give us an invite. We would love to come out there and check this thing out. It's one of these things that when I saw it in the Super Bowl, I was thinking, wow, EVs have come a long way. I remember no commercials or any coverage at all about EVs, and now it's kind of the cool thing to do. And I think companies get that. So the Hummer EV is going to be a big deal. I think this is GMC's kind of moonshot approach. Again, it is hard to sell electric vehicles if your name isn't Tesla. So the best thing to start doing is with low volume, high margin, high price luxury items like this Hummer truck. It's not going to be cheap. It's going to be a more premium product. But the old Hummers were that way as well. So if you start with that, it'll allow you to sell these vehicles because you're not going to compete on cost with companies like Tesla who make vehicles at a much larger volume. So you have to figure out battery supply and logistics and software and all these other problems. Just talk to VW if you want to know about the software problems of EVs. They're having tons of issues with the ID.3. So this will give them a chance to sell fewer cars, but to make more profit and to really kind of get their feet wet. A lot like Tesla did with the original Roadster, which was also very expensive. So good on you, GMC and GM, for doing this. I think it's a good move. My hope and my prediction is that they follow the Rivian model with a modular skateboard platform that can easily be shared across an SUV and a pickup truck. The Hummer traditionally was more of an SUV. There was the pickup truck as well. But why not make both? If you do your job right and you make this modular and kind of plug and play, you can build the same platform and chassis for both, just like Rivian has done. So another company that I've been looking at recently is called Neuron EV, and they're making all kinds of cool little vehicles. The first one, I think, is the Star, which kind of reminds me of the little micro pickup trucks that they have in Asia. I guess it can kind of become a van or a truck. The reason why I'm including this without a lot of information is because it is a good time to be alive. There's a lot of exciting new startups, and there's new visions of what a truck can be. They're even building buses, so they're getting into kind of the large-scale, large mass transit business that Tesla, I don't think, is really interested in. This is the e-bus, but they're clearly investing in very modular architecture, reusability, and all sorts of electrified, larger scale industrial applications. So you got Tesla, and then you got Nikola. So the company is called Nikola Motors, and they build a couple of pretty cool vehicles, and their pickup truck is called the Badger. This is a truck I really like, actually. I think it looks phenomenal. It has a cool design to it. Looks very kind of Ford Raptor-like, and I think that's the market they're going for, is the more sports performance, racing kind of a truck. What's really interesting about the Nikola Badger is the range is 300 miles on batteries and up to 600 miles, including a hydrogen fuel cell range extender. So still zero compromises in terms of emissions, but a different kind of an approach. And even without the fuel cells, it's still 300 miles of pure battery EV range. 0 to 60 happens in 2.9 seconds, and they have a production date of September 2020. So we'll see if they hit that. Max towing is going to be 8,000 pounds. The truck will have about 900 horsepower. Man, these numbers are absurd. And they actually have a battery pack size listed. It'll be 120 kilowatt hours. Again, four-wheel drive. And reading these numbers, man, you get kind of used to this kind of stuff. 900 horsepower would have been crazy. And the Badger has a 4x4 layout with IWD, so you can expect really great performance. All right, finally, before we get to the Tesla Cybertruck, there was an honorable mention that I wanted to throw out there, and that comes from the company Karma and their Karma pickup truck. Now, they have a little teaser photo, and they're saying that it'll be unveiled in 2020. So again, Karma, if you want to have us cover this truck, please let us know. I'd love to be there to cover it. But again, just excitement, and there's tons of new players in this space. Now let's talk about the star of the show probably, which is the Tesla Cybertruck. I can't think of anything in the news you can buy in the past 6 months that has gotten more coverage and more interest than the Cybertruck. Let's just break down some of the specs really quickly. It'll come in 3 configurations, and I think what's really amazing about this truck is the price. Take out the Nissan Chinese EV, and the Cybertruck with the rear-wheel drive configuration is the cheapest truck you can buy. And Tesla has been able to pull this off because of their battery investments and their gigafactories and all the things that they've done to vertically integrate. For anybody who talks about tax credits and all this kind of stuff, I think what Tesla has shown you is exactly how tax credits should work. When there's something new and a company is just starting out, they're not making money yet, they might need a leg up to kind of get into the game. And what Tesla has done is shown you, look at the kind of cars that they're making, and they're doing it without any tax credits anymore. So I think the Cybertruck is one of the best examples of what you can do when you give a company a chance to get started. Let's talk about the specs. With the rear-wheel drive, we're talking 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds and a range of 250 miles. For the dual-motor all-wheel drive, the 0 to 60 time falls to just 4.5 seconds, and the range is 300 miles. And if you jump all the way to the tri-motor configuration, not quad motor, but tri-motor, then 0 to 60s drop to 2.9 seconds. That's as fast as my Performance Model 3, and range is over 500 miles, which would be the longest range Tesla ever made. The bed is 6.5 feet long. The towing capacity ranges from 7,500 pounds on the low end to 14,000 plus pounds on the high end. All the cars will have autopilot standard, and the ground clearance is up to 16 feet. What's really cool about this truck, it has active damping and active suspension, which allows the truck to change its characteristics whether you're fully empty or fully loaded up to the max payload, and the truck will handle really nicely either way. That's a big deal for truck people. And if you drive trucks, you know how much the feeling of the drive can change when you're empty to fully laden. So that's really cool and cutting edge stuff. Tesla on their website actually even lists the approach angle and the departure angle. The approach angle is how steep of an incline you can get up to without your front bumper contacting and colliding, and the departure angle is how steep of an angle you can come down without scraping your rear bumper. So you push the wheels out to the edges of the car and you have a nice ride height and you can get a better angle. These numbers are pretty respectable, and I think people who like off-roading will love these. The Cybertruck is expected to be produced in 2022, and I think that number is going to be pretty accurate. And the reason is people will say, oh, the Model Y came early. Yeah, the Model Y was 75% shared with the Model 3, and they've gotten really good at it. Their plant was lined up to make these things, and they're way ahead of schedule, which is really amazing. But the Cybertruck is kind of a new game for them. The exoskeleton and the cold-rolled stainless steel and some of these other attributes, the Tesla glass and all this other stuff, is going to be a new challenge. And a lot of people have mentioned that it really relates more closely to Tesla's other enterprise, SpaceX, than it does to Tesla. Maybe the rumors of the Gigafactory in Texas are true, and the Cybertruck is built there because the Starship is built there, and they can share some knowledge and cross-pollinate some ideas. The one thing about the Cybertruck is you know it's going to come. There's no risk of vaporware. There's no risk you'll put a deposit and it never ships. It's going to come and it's going to be huge. But in this world of EVs, just look at how many new startups are emerging. And this is still the beginning. There's going to be more. So don't be surprised if your options in pickup trucks aren't Dodge Ram, F-150, or Silverado. Don't be surprised if now it'll be 20 or 30 options, from everything from high volume manufacturers to small bespoke manufacturers. I think the future of the pickup truck is going to be really promising. So that pretty much does it for us. Thank you so much for watching. A huge thank you to our patrons. If you want to become a rockstar supporter of this show, then consider becoming a patron. We have huge plans to go to new places, to meet with new people, and to cover new topics. And your support on Patreon would really go a long way. So what do you guys think? What is your favorite pickup truck? If you're a reservation holder, which one did you pick? I'm dying to know which one is the most popular or which ones are really getting more attention. I think there's quite a few good options out there, but I'd love to know what you guys are doing. Let us know in your comments what you think about all this stuff. If you would consider trading in your gas truck for one of these EVs. How about that Hummer EV? What do you think it'll look like? And as always, hit that like button, share this video, and thank you so much for watching. I'm Ricky with 2Bit Da Vinci, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.